Where would you like to begin, Kayla and Tracy? Do you have any place to begin that we did not?
No, I don't know. If Bailey can just start with 1% if we want to start with
Okay.
that first.
All righty.
Pull it up. Is it in its in your grants folder?
Yeah, grants 1%.
I found it. Is it? Community partner one. 25. And then which one is it, Bailey?
Allocation one. Second. Spreadsheet.
This one here?
Yeah. It'll say I'm in it, so.
Oh, that's fine. I can't mess it up that way.
All right, so at the last meeting, I changed things up on you guys. And I asked you to do a little homework. And these are the results of our homework. Get on here. And Commissioner Gosa, you did allocate a little less than 250,000, and I didn't know if that was your intention or if there was a typo somewhere.
There was a missing amount, I wasn't gonna
Okay,
allocate
it's
for
perfect.
the downtown. But,
Just making sure.
so
Okay. But these are our results. There's quite a few that you guys did go ahead and fully fund with the averages. Brady did go ahead and make that that last column there, just round up.
Could you make it a little bigger?
I can't. I can't read it either, Terry, so.
But round up to the nearest dollar because I don't want to deal with change with these.
It's like I stress trying to get this to work out.
I did that mistake one time and I'm not doing it again.
Being the person that has to do this? No, just kidding.
No, but dealing with change.
Oh. Make it so that that's a little easier to read. Is that better? Okay,
You can hide those other,
I guess I put.
hide B and C.
That gives it.
Yeah, and then I should be able to. There you go.
That'll allow
Then
me
you
to
can
make
make it a
it
little
bigger. There we go.
There we
Is
go.
that better? Okay.
Okay, so, I mean, unless you guys have any objections to this, I think this is your 1% community partner funding. Like I said, there are still quite a few you guys fully funded, which is great. There's some others that it was kind of interesting when we split it up between the three of you to do individually. You guys have difference of opinions, so,
I can't imagine.
yeah, I know. So it was, I don't know, it was interesting plugging the numbers in and taking a look at them. But let me know if you guys have any objections to any of these.
And airport's not in here.
Airport is not in here and neither is library or fair.
and this still leaves us some room if United Way or Foster Closet comes back. Is that?
Yeah, from what I've heard in the community foster closet, probably will not be coming back.
Okay.
And their letter actually got sent back to me, the one that I sent them, because they were ones that didn't fill out the report. But United Way, I guess, could. But yeah, there's still wiggle room, and then it kind of keeps you guys a little more consistent over the next few years if we continue to do it this way.
I think it's good for the public too, if they
Yeah.
want to see, I think how the city does it. It's kind of-
Yeah, and I think if somebody questions you guys, like, well, why did you give, Big Brothers more than Home on the Range or whatever, we can simply show them.
Commissioners, anything?
I think it looks good.
You guys are
I
good.
like
Okay, so then we will update that on our spreadsheet. Perfect.
While I'm up here, I got two more things real quick. ICLEI was a subscription that we've done in the past. I wanted to know if you wanted to continue that. It's $1,200 a year. It's for energy, what was it? local governments for sustainability. We've used them one time on one of our grants to help collect data. If we do want to do it, I probably we need to figure out where we want to pay it from. I either need a little more money in my, like, my fund, or we need to put it in those subscriptions, or a subscription or membership, something.
Well, if it would come out of commissioners.
Really, how long have you had that?
I think we've done it past 2
2
years.
years, yep.
Yeah.
Has our calculator on it for electrical, gas usage.
But I don't even remember where we paid for it previously. It was kind of just something that
I wondered.
fell into my lap.
I kind of think it came out of the commissioner's budget, if I remember, but. maybe
Yeah.
not.
I'm just gonna look where we paid for it at, because we don't have a subscriptions in the commissioner's budget. So I don't know, it could have, I mean, it could have been paid out of office supplies, but I mean, we can always put a new line for subscriptions too, so that it's tracked properly.
While they're looking for that,
I think that sounds like a good idea.
I'd maybe do a subscriptions line in the commissioner payment.
the other thing I brought forward to you guys was Blue Sky. We did not receive funding. I had a call with Leo again yesterday because he found out a little bit more information. Moving forward, it sounds like they're only gonna fund 50% of the total project, period. So that would leave us with the 20% they're requiring from us to commit, and then that 30% for the incentive at the federal level. So we would need, excuse me, half of that funding in match to pay for the bills, and then the 30% of that we can then go back and try to request from the incentives program. But after talking with Leo, he said the one quote he gave us still is relevant. So that would be $105,851.
Is that the total or is that the 50%?
That'd be the 50%. That total of that project, and again, we do have to go out for bid for this, so
Yep.
things could change a little bit. The total that he quoted us was 211,701.
Is that just for the one building?
That's just for the SARS building. They did out and out say they will not do the road and bridge building because we would not have a battery with it. And that's not what they wanted to do. Talking with Leo, he thinks that we are the application that made him change some things because he found the loophole a few too many times. But he's willing to help us put another application if you guys are wanting to. But I don't need to know. Like, we don't need to work on that today. I just need to know if you guys want to. I got to make sure the money's in that budget because that's quite a bit. I can't just pick it up.
Mhm.
So we have to know by either today or tomorrow, or
Pretty much.
Friday, yeah.
If you want to do it, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we could go into, I think it's easier for these guys if you guys make that decision now. And then instead of asking, the problem with this is majority of the grants I ask for, I at least have a year. This, I won't have a year. We have like 6 months, 8 months or something. So it all is going to happen within next fiscal year. Cause then usually I would just ask for next fiscal year, but I don't have that option this time with this grant. So, but you guys can think about it and decide on Friday if you want.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I'm in favor of it.
Okay. So, Amanda, do you have my match folder?
I have it.
I need 105,851 please in that list line.
And so when the 30% comes back, Bailey, it'll just roll back into the general fund.
Yeah.
How is that the mechanism? Is that how
Well,
that works?
I'll work with Tracy on it because Tracy, I think, is gonna be the one that has to deal with the incentive. Lucky you. I have a call on that tomorrow. I'll fill you in. But yeah, so I think, I don't know, if Tracy tells me where I need to put my money when it comes in.
How much did you need more in your match? 108,000 what?
105,851.
About 3,000 more.
Yeah, it was only
I did it, Tracy, so it should be up to
Because the original one I had was
101, 388.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't much
It's just-
more. I just had calculated all the transfers with the cash on hand.
Oh, gotcha.
and then I even
Rearrange
decreased
it
a little. for match last night, so.
So just return it to the 1%. Would you just make the downtown clinic just average Sue and,
Yep, already did.
okay. Then I don't appear as having any
Oh, yeah.
input on that at all, so but just those
Yeah,
two
he has
cells.
this. He told him to check this one.
He,
We'll check.
he
it.
just was texting me about it.
He was?
Yeah,
Perfect, okay.
he already caught
Yeah,
Super.
that's what happened. when you-
Okay,
it.
anything next that we haven't talked about yet? Taylor, Tracy, anything?
You want me to talk about the transfer?
Sure.
My
Love that.
co-host Adam.
You should be, yes, sir.
You can try. Sure.
Do we need to sort out everything before the transfers, Tracy? Will that make it easier or?
I think it's just as it stands right now. So if you decide to change anything, then the transfers are gonna change by whatever. And these are just recommendations, of course, so. Like what Bailey will change the grants match transfer between a little bit,
Right.
but. Actually, let me start with a different worksheet. Super tiny. All right, so, currently built in, to the budget is the direct aid transfer to the general fund. And this is how we've broken it out in the past to get that amount. So we've used the postage, the fuel, auditor, contract, copier lease, utilities, liability insurance, peace officer insurance, and property insurance, which totals up to that $1,163,870. So that's already built into the incoming revenues. These are the other ones that, to fund the IT fund, there's a little bit coming from 1% and the lion's share coming from direct aid and then grant match. And grant match will just change a smidge based on $1,463. How much? 4463. More, right? Correct. Yeah. So that would increase that just a smidge, but the total of the community partners was less than what I calculated, which I'll get to here in a moment, but so statutorily as if you remember, we can put $100,000 of the county road fund into an equipment reserve. So this will be our third year doing so. So that's built in. So this is what's available to transfer. So currently with the cash on hand in 1% and the allocations that were in there, not including any of the changes just made, was 850,000 left over to transfer. I used a maximum that Bailey presented to you with the 250,000 for community partners. So I added back in, there was 446,100, I think was the number before. So the difference between that and the 250,000 is this, and the transfers coming up. So that left $1,095,000 to allocate somewhere else. Direct aid, after I put on the cash on hand balances, has 648,000. And then the general fund with the estimated cash on hand and all the expenditures and revenues that we have estimated as of right now at 932,000. So these are the proposed. You guys at the last budget work session mentioned your priority would be to refill or add more money into the county building reserve for those deferred maintenance items and unplanned stuff breaking, for lack of a better word.
Unplanned emergencies.
And then I added some money into the new facility, which, because I like even numbers, that takes it up to an even, would take it up to even 5 million in that new facility reserve. And then emergency reserve, because that's always a good place where you guys, should an emergency happen, that you can access that quicker. So after, let me go back to the other worksheet. Budget totals, which is going to be small again. that about a good
That's
size?
good.
So this has, in the expenditures, I think Amanda or Kayla could speak to that, but I think that has everything that was discussed at the last budget work session in the general fund, correct?
It does.
So that would be 18 million, a little over 18 million in expenditures, and then we have estimated about 16 million in revenues coming in, which would give us a deficit of 2.2 million. However, the estimated cash on hand, we have it at about 3.2 million, leaving that surplus of 932,000. These are the reserves I mentioned before coming from the general fund, just the general fund ones in this colored area here. Here's all the other ones I mentioned and where they would come from, and then the balances that would be after any transfers. And this is that building reserve coming from there, assuming this 446 is now going to go to the well, I was using 250,000. But it's going to be 246.
It is actually 250 because that one equation was wrong.
Oh.
So it's 250.
Okay, so I'm listening to change. But that would be where that is, and then I can get over here to then direct aid. Has all those different transfers to the different funds in there. Remaining amounts in for the ERP system, and then the EMS contract, and then the new facility reserve. And those are the big changes that at your direction with the proposed transfers we made to that. And then I don't know if Kayla has any other items she would like to point out.
Just going into the commissioner's line. Chelsea indicated that we don't have any BOE hearings and we have budgeted 6,000. Do we even need to budget anything in there? I feel like it's just more, or maybe we need to just decrease it.
Year?
Well, because everything would be spent out. I mean, this would be for the 6,000 budgeted for this next fiscal year. So, I mean, I guess it's your guys, if you want to keep maybe 1,000 in there just because of something crazy, but I mean, I don't think we need to budget 6,000 in there. It's just money we're putting in there that doesn't need to be, if we don't have any hearings. No.
Yay.
That's good.
Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
Exciting.
Which made my day yesterday.
I bet it did.
Yeah.
Chelsea, what was it last year? Because we did have some last year.
Me too. One backed out last minute.
Yeah.
And then another thing I wanted to bring up, Adam and I have been working with Warm for cyber security or cyber.
Your cyber insurance.
Thank you. We got our quote back because of everything that Adam does and all of his geek out on IT stuff. It's good though, because it's helped us actually, but we're eligible for, maybe you should just speak to it. I just wanted to make sure we already have it in the budget for the cyber coverage. But I just wanted to let you know that we got our quote back. It was about what we had budgeted. It's not cheap. It's $14,000, but it gives us
Okay.
an immense amount of.
Sorry, I'm just pulling up the auxiliary information. That's
I
fine.
just wanted to let you guys know, it is in the budget already, but,
So yeah, so instead of just pulling under our general coverage like Warm did, they considered cyber under their general property coverage. That doesn't fly in the industry much anymore. They've had to essentially go out and reshop this. I think they've done a really good job at shopping the plans in association. So what they've offered up and what was presented before the Warm board there was essentially kind of a stepped cyber maturity, so that those with decent cyber maturity weren't having to overpay or cover and essentially be in an kind of in the same pool set as those that might not carry the same. And so in providing that, they did a level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so they have different requirements for each of those levels to qualify for those levels. Level 4 being the highest qualification. Albany County does qualify at level 4. There's a $2 million cyber coverage with different breakouts And that can be provided to you, and that is at just over $14,000. When you look at that, the next step down, level 3 is half of that coverage. It's $1 million, and it cuts most of the other premiums cut depending on the different action type and the different cyber event, and that comes in at 9.5. So it's about a like a $4,500 difference between the two. When Kayla reached out, my recommendation was to take, because we do qualify that level 4, to take the level 4. But we will leave that at your discretion there.
I think it's a deal. Anytime you can buy 2 million for 14,000 is right on money.
And what they provide is pretty great. I mean, like Adam had indicated before, it was part of our property insurance. And I think we paid only like $1,000. It was very cheap, but is what they were finding is that there were more and more events and people weren't hitting the marks that they should be hitting in order to have the coverage that they were giving. And that's why we had to go through I mean, it wasn't extensive, but it was a pretty big application to go through and show all the things that we do here, because we're not as big of a liability as maybe some other places are because of what Adam does with all of our security. So.
And does this include a team to help you out if you're under threat and everybody's locked down? Does that?
There
include
is,
that?
yep. So they have a response set. And so it's pot of money set. They'll provide third party, at least contacts. I didn't dig in too deep based on that. That would be more of a secondary dive based on the level that we justify. The state also offers the CARES team that we can do in terms of a regional response. So there's several levels of response set when under event.
Thanks.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, guys.
That's all extra that I had. I didn't know if you guys wanted to talk any more about.
Well, I want to return to a subject for sure. Does anybody else need to return to the subject? Commissioners? Well, I'll just open it up. For me, the salaries, I did some research. 6.5% plus 1.8% on retirement is 8.3. That doubles a person's salary in 8.6 years. I think that's unsustainable. I don't believe we can amass that amount. And I just want to bring that up to the commissioner's attention. In my work career, 3% was an amazing raise. I think I received it one time. 6.5 is above and beyond. I find it to be unsustainable, and I just think we need to think about it. Obviously, I don't have the votes. Maybe I do or don't, but I just think we need to understand what that means. And we have a lot of property tax discussions out in the ether, and I suspect something will be done. I'm not sure what will be done, but something will be done in the next legislative session. So that's my thought.
Okay. My understanding is that we approved that 6.5 for this next year. It wasn't-
Nothing's been approved until it's approved for the budget.
Correct.
It's proposed.
I mean, it's proposed for the next year, not into the next 5 years. Is that correct?
It would, it's
That's how
just
I
for
read it.
this year. Yes, it would be just for this year. Yes. But we have to sustain that 6.5 going forward. You know, that amount of budget, I think is what Pete might be saying.
No, I'm saying that at that rate, we would double people's salary and that's I mean, I think that just is a number that has to understand what that means. And I know you do, but I'm just saying, I feel really uncomfortable at that level of raise. I just do. And I do feel that the difference between non-sworn and sworn is 8.3% versus 3.59%. That's more than double. And I find that to be not sustainable nor equitable. And I just have to make my point this one last time and see if there's any mood to adjust those numbers.
I mean, I can speak, I spoke to my staff yesterday, and one of my staff actually wrote a letter, and I don't know if you saw that too, Terry.
Yeah.
I agree, that sworn deputies should be looked at differently. I do agree with that. I think that 6.5% is high on all means. I think that they should get a raise, but I don't know that it should be at the 6.5 level. I don't know that it should be that far off of what your non-sworn employees are. It's totally up to you guys what you choose to do. But I know that that hit a little hard for my staff. I know that because we're all public servants. And we don't know what's coming at us every day. And we have had to call the sheriff multiple times in our office because of angry customers, and you don't know what they're carrying with them, you know? And so it is. I do agree that they should be looked at differently. I just don't know that there should be that big of a disparity.
So, what do you think the disparity should be?
I don't know. I mean, maybe 1%, maybe 2. 6.5% is, I've never worked anywhere where you've gotten a 6.5% raise. That's, well, and it's even on top of that because plus they're getting the 1.8 in retirement, and that 1.8 is for the next 3 years. So we're not only looking at, they're also looking at a 1.8% in the next 2 years as well. So that's a lot for the county to have to sustain too. And I think just as my staff wrote her letter, you know, that's something that we have to continue on every year. And does that stop maybe other people from getting a raise because of the fact that that is such a big jump? I don't know. But that's maybe a 1% difference.
So we gave 3.5% increase.
That's
to
what you guys
department
looked at. Yeah.
heads and all. So instead of 6.5, you're thinking more equitable, it'd be like 5%.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Sure, you bet, Rob.
Yeah, sorry I wasn't here Tuesday. We were enjoying vacation, but actually I was able to watch what went on. Not what went on is the wrong word, but what transpired. And it actually gave me a different perspective. I realized that I was not sticking up for my department well enough. Excuse me, my department has a lot of hazardous things that it has to deal with. They go out, their muscles hurt, shoulders, backs, but they show up the next day with their lunchbox, ready to go back to work. So when I saw the discussion, I realized that I've been letting my department down. I feel like I've been working on, because my first time at the budget session was when the county attorney went off on us and said we're all idiots and voodoo math and stuff. And my department got cut 5 people. So naturally I'm become very conservative, wanting to look at the Albany County government first. I realized after watching that it was a mistake. And I do believe that my department right now has 12 employees. We had 15 at that time. And you guys have awarded us 2 since then. So I do believe that I need to start us on a program where we get back to full staff. And I would like to start this year by adding another employee. You know, we've done the temporary route. We've had one great temporary employee. The others have not worked out for us. So, I mean, we're always, seems like chasing our tails. For example, this morning, you know, we all have our plans and we get called out on a dead antelope in the middle of the road. So
I did not call you.
I know. It's not my year one. But so now we have to change a little bit, slows things down. So anyway, you guys have a tough job deciding the departments and what each one's responsibilities are and the things that are required in those jobs. So I don't envy your decisions at all. I mean, I've been looking at the 3%. Matter of fact, I'd given Kayla a proposal of that before that meeting, and but I'm here now to ask for another employee this year, and then seeing what next year brings. I'd like to add maybe 2 more, but for this year, I know we can definitely use more help. And
So Rob, that would bring you up to 15?
no, right now we have 12. And let's
If you've been-
quantify the 12. 12's counting myself and Cindy. So we actually have 10 people that are out on the field. There's, we have 534 miles of road to take care of. 332 cattle guards, 1,277 culverts. So, I mean, it's a daunting task because sometimes it seems like what you have to do piles up in one week or month or whatever. You're scrambling with dealing with vacation time and things like that too. So if I could get one more employee this year, at least gives us an opportunity to work when we have vacation come up. We have somebody that's ready to fill in on a blade or something if need be.
So that would bring you up to 13.
That would bring us up to 13. That's
Okay.
still not 15 like we had. The frustrating part about that, and it was a tough job.
Yeah.
Back then, and you hate to see it again because then they're talking, furloughs, and it was just a mess.
Yeah.
When we were charged with reducing our budget by 15% that year, we did that, and then with the final budget, we were reduced by 33%. So I think my department and planning took a pretty good hit. So.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
I guess one quick question, maybe you guys know it, Rob, what would you think that would add? That's not included in your budget request? is it?
No.
So what would that amount be with benefits? Is that about 80,000?
What do you start at, 40?
45.
45.
And we had to move ours up because we weren't getting anybody to
Apply, yeah.
the 2 that we had applied. Basically couldn't afford the housing.
It'd be $56,070, not including health insurance. So if they took health insurance, add another 10 to 20, depending on what they took.
Okay, so let's just call it 75, but it's at a number that,
Yeah, close to 80.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty close.
Commissioners, your thoughts on that request?
I support it.
Oh, I absolutely support it. Would you like us to add
Yep,
it into
please.
our budget? Okay. I'm gonna get out of here.
Thank you.
And actually, the better the roads are, the better it is for the sheriff.
Yes. Right there. You know?
Anybody else?
Anybody else want to say anything?
I would like to speak up if I could.
Sure, go ahead, please.
Just want to reiterate that the raises that we're asking for the sheriff's office, because we don't do any long-term budgeting, is for the most part, a one-time raise of 6%. So we know that there's other property tax legislation that could possibly come in the next year, and like we talked about at the next meeting, that'd be something that we would revisit when and if that legislation begins to be discussed or comes through. So, but that ask is only for this next coming fiscal year for 2025. We know that needs to be sustained. And then the numbers that we've provided, like I said, we wouldn't be asking for it if we didn't think that it would be sustainable over that long term. So like I said, again, just want to reiterate that, you know, your increase is for this upcoming year. Like I said, we don't really know what's coming down the pike, for sure, over the next 5 years. And so, anything that we look to project over those 5 years is speculative at best.
Thanks, Sheriff. Any questions for the sheriff? Yes, please, Tracy.
Comments from my office, I guess. I'm like with Kayla. I do believe that sheriff's office should be looked at separately, and I went on record as of that last week. The difference, I think it's kind of hard because I think it devalues the other employees. I think all of the employees that work for the county are worth so much, because without the employees for any office, we don't have a county. I mean, we're a service-driven industry, and public servants. And I mean, every office does its own unique thing. Every office has its own unique risks. And we're all choosing to take those risks on. Chelsea's field team, how many times have they been threatened? You know, and not to mention her field team going out and driving all those assessed valuations that make our revenues. Kayla's office does all the titles and brings in all that. And then my office, of course, has to collect it. You know, and how many times has Sunny or I been threatened by somebody because we put a tax lien on their property? I mean, we all have our own risks. It's every single employee for the county is so valuable, and I can't begin. I mean, I've always been of the mindset it's for the good of Albany County as a whole. I don't want to be the one that says, well, I collect all the money and I'm going to just collect it for my office. Because if we went off the revenues, good luck, y'all. But that isn't my mindset. It's for all of us. We can't provide the services that we promise to our community without all of us working together to do our part of the job. And if one department's better than the other, then what does that say? None of us are better than the other. We're good at all of us at what we specialize in. I don't see how you can value one employee group over another more than the other. I do believe there's hazards at the sheriff's office they take on that. I mean, I can only imagine what happened with the accident on 287 last night with helicopters and what they had to see. Don't disagree that they see horrendous things. But we all see our own bad things in our own office. That's my own opinion.
Tracy, can I put you out on a limb and ask, what do you feel is more equitable?
1 or 2%. I don't know. I mean, with them, I guess, my mind keeps going. They're getting the additional retirement and 6.5%. That's 8 and what'd you say?
8.3.
That's a lot. I mean, I've worked in the private industry. I've never got that much before. But that is honestly your decision. And I just would hate to see the disparity between the different offices and the different employees, because it's everyone, all the way from Rob's guys, Bailey and Brady, everything they do. Sally, she gets to see some horrible things too.
Oh, she does her.
Yeah. Kurt's, I mean, he's having a hard time keeping people. So I don't know.
We took all public, all county employees to 15.27, right, for retirement?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a 0.09 increase for non-sworn, and then 1.8 for sworn. I'll just, I guess, start the bidding. I think that 2.5 for county employees across the board, plus the 0.09 on the retirement. Sheriff's office, 3.5 percent increase plus 1.8 on their retirement. So that would be 2.59 and 5.3. And so I'm guessing that would be probably about $300,000 just from the county employees. That's a high number. And then that would be another 100 and some thousand in the sheriff's office. So kind of a total raise of around $400,000, give or take, maybe a little bit less than that.
You do, the 2.5 for regular and 3.5 for sworn, it's around 245.
245.
245.
Okay. And then I guess we'll just add one more caveat to, I would like to give the department head and electeds the ability to distribute those monies as they would see fit. So I'm hopeful that they will use it like they know how to do, and not give it all to one person. That's not the objective. And maybe hit the people at the bottom a little bit more than you hit the people at the top as far as a raise, but leave that to your discretion. So we would end up 2.5% to the 12 people at Rob's or 11 people at Rob's, and then he would decide how to meter that 2.5% out.
Well, I certainly agree that the department heads and elected officials need to spread the mayonnaise however it needs to be spread. I know that was a weird one.
She won't give us the mayonnaise because she doesn't like it.
I could have said salt and that would have been. So Pete, you just proposed 2.5 for all employees and 3.5 for
This one.
sheriffs,
Yep, plus the
plus the 1.8.
1.8 for the sheriffs and the 0.09, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, for the county employees. So that all retirement is at 15.28% across the board, share, sworn and not sworn. 15.27.
Yeah.
15.27 sworn and not sworn across the board.
So what do the rest of the elected officials think? Obviously, that are in the room.
About those amounts.
Yeah.
I've only had the opportunity to talk to like 2 of my staff. They were supportive of the 6.5 and the 3.5. I mean, Tracy's right. We have risks. I mean, I get threatening letters. I get called every name in the book. My field team, they get threatened. But when you look at our pay and compare it to what everyone else in the state is making, it's fair. I think the point the sheriff was making was that they're having a hard time with retention and they're losing staff. So I think that's something that needs to be considered. The disparity, I mean, I don't have an opinion. Like I said, my office would be very happy with the 3.5. That's huge. 2.5 is still huge. We do need to be smart about what's sustainable. I don't want to go through layoffs. I don't want to do that. So that's my opinion. It probably doesn't help any. I'm sorry.
It's your opinion. Yeah,
Yep.
it's you bet.
Yep.
We didn't want it. I wouldn't have asked.
Yeah.
Amanda, can you tell me what it'd be for sheriff office at 4% and the 1.8?
So increasing to 4. So I'd take it from the 245 to 261,000.
Not to just state the obvious, the increase in the retirement was probably some actuarian somewhere said that the sheriff's retirement account needed increased funding to be solvent. And so, you know, that is, you know, what it is. And just to make sure everybody understands, 20 years, sheriffs, people after 20 years can start taking their retirement fully funded. If two people started, one at the sheriff's office, one at the county, at the age of 20, a sheriff's deputy could retire at 40. A county person to retire would be 52 and a half years old before they could retire. And so there is a difference. And I think that is in the difference of the positions too. I think that's what that dictates. So. So commissioners, your thoughts? Are we good with letting whatever raise we come up with be spread, the mayonnaise be spread, however they want to be said?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
You can say peanut butter too.
Mayonnaise, fine.
Mayonnaise spreads easier.
Right, right. Are we good with bringing everybody's retirement up to the same amount?
Yes.
Okay. All right, now the raises, there's 2.5 and 3.5 that I proposed. Sue, it sounded like you proposed 2.5 and 4. And then what was proposed last time, 3.5 and 6.5. And something else, Gary, if you have something else you'd like to propose, that is fine also.
Well, I could go with Sue's numbers. I don't like it, but I can go with it.
Any other department head want to speak to that? I know we heard from Kayla and Tracy as far as they see the discrepancy as far as being able to swallow a 1% to 2% increase for sheriff over other employees.
Look, as Chelsea said, I mean, my people would be happy with anything. I do know there may be cuts coming. 2.5 is very generous. I think they'd be very happy with that. The disparity, I get the very different jobs and more hazards, and I don't have an issue with it as numbers. I have no opinion on what it should be. My people really don't. I don't think they're following this right now. They're over there doing paperwork right now, so they don't have court at 9. So they don't really follow things that closely. But I know they'd be happy with anything, and that keeps us at least up with inflation. So we're not sliding back. It keeps us competitive with other people.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you.
Yes, Adam, please.
Good morning, thank you. If you're looking for that middle ground, based on some of the numbers that I've been hearing, at least my opinion set would be somewhere in the 3 and then 5. Again, no issue again with the disparity, as I've mentioned before. I did not have a chance to bring it and address it with my staff to see if there were personal feelings associated. But I do know that there is an ample amount of time that my staff have to absorb due to the continual layover and changeovers associated to the sheriff's office. We burn a lot of time trying to retrain and re-implement both the cyber and the physical securities associated with sheriff office individuals that we see. I mean, I deactivate account what feels like at least monthly, if not every bi-weekly, or bi-monthly, or however that word works out. Twice a month. I try to speak big, it just doesn't work, especially not in the morning. So,
So you were talking 5 and 3.
correct. That is, if we're looking at a middle ground kind of scenario set, that based on what I've been hearing, that would put us right where the feds put essentially everyone else at the federal level associated with Social Security and the raise that they saw there and the inflation that they saw. So that puts the general pop within a consumable level, plus gives the sheriff's office an amendable means to hopefully retain and attract staff.
Adam, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, I had written down before a 1.5 increase for, just department heads. Are we saying, whether your numbers, Pete, or my numbers, would it, go to the 5 department heads as well?
I don't believe that's in that number, is it, Amanda?
I left.
Yeah.
Except,
Yeah,
okay,
I think we're gonna dive in that pool a little bit
okay,
after this one was finished.
okay.
So just, the 3 and the 5, that's a 6.8% raise. I mean, anytime somebody picks up your retirement, that is a raise. And there's just no other way to think about that. It's money, it's real money. And so, so that would be a 3.09% raise. Adam's suggested not to cast any aspersions, but just to know what numbers we're dealing with. 3.09 for the non-sworn, and it would be 6.8 for the sworn.
Um,
I'm not supportive of that, but,
no, I'm not either. I am comfortable with the 2.5 and the 4.
I would still rather have the 5 and the 3, but I can live with the 4 and 2.5 or whatever it is.
okay. There it is. And then, with department heads, I think we had talked at 1.5% last, meeting. There's a lot to this, as I discussed with somebody the other day. Didn't realize, just full disclosure, that we had elected officials. We had an ability to ladder elected officials 4 years ago, so that as we increased, they could increase every year or every 2 years. We didn't do that, so they're frozen in time, back to what we were 2 years ago. And what that means is people underneath them, creates compression issues. So it's hard to imagine somebody making more than their boss. And so that whole department is frozen underneath that frozen salary. Now, I'm not sure how many people bump up against there. I think there's a few departments that bump up against there. But that is not the same with the department heads. They can be raised every year. So
So your point was?
what would you like to do?
And you
We had
gave-
1.5%.
I thought 1.5 was good.
Yeah, 1.5, amounted to a little over 8,000, right?
I believe.
I'm good with one.
1.5,
Mhm.
1.5. Okay. Is there anything else we need to deal with the budget?
Nope, as long as I know that 2.5 for the non-sworn, 4% for the sworn, and then 1.5 for department heads.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Anything else we need to cover this morning that we didn't cover? And these are still proposed. I think the final will be on Friday, but I'm feeling like we're closer to the end than we are the
Yeah, I
beginning.
think so. Can I clarify on department heads? So that would mean IT, maintenance, grants? No, not grants. Maintenance, IT, HR, road bridge, and planning are the only department heads. Correct.
Okay, I have maintenance, IT, our road and bridge planning. That's it. Okay.
And then it was requested that, next year we actually see what the departments did as far as,
Yeah, we can let, you guys will see the salary authorization forms as well, because you have to sign off on those, so. As they start coming in, you'll be able to see, and if you'd like, Amanda could separate them by department, so that you can see what each department has done. If you'd like, we can definitely do that. So that you know.
All righty. And then you have a PILT number that came in better, and then,
Anticipated.
yeah. And then was there any transfer? I don't remember a transfer to maybe the salary reserve account or anything.
I did not include anything and just proposed where you started with the.
Yeah.
Building reserves for the maintenance items. I put the lion's share in there and then the new facility and then emergency reserve. But I'm happily switch anything. Because once the final numbers, I'll have to change a few of the numbers too to.
Is that something we can do on Friday morning, once you have the
Yeah.
final numbers? Okay, commissioners, you feel all right with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Can I bring one salary up? I'm not trying to single anybody out, but I know that when Anthony was hired, he was hired at I don't know what level he was hired at. I think his may need to be looked at. He is now taken on, he has a full-time employee, plus he has a part-time summer person, and then he's gonna be managing another employee to clean all of the county buildings. He's also taken on doing all of the summer maintenance out at Beach Street so that we don't have to pay a third party to do it. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if you guys have an opinion, but I feel like the level he's at is not, we're getting way more from him than what we're paying him. And I think that maybe that needs to be looked at. I don't know if he wants to talk about himself at all, but I see the amount of work that he's done and taking on and managing now going to be 3 employees is a lot more. So I don't know what your
I can
guys' feelings are.
Speak to that on Beach Street. It was never part of that job description, partially because we had LCBA managing that property. He's helped me out multiple times with that property, and it's not just the summer maintenance. He's doing all the maintenance for it that's required.
I'll just add to that. I've seen more help in our building over on North or whatever South Third than ever before. So it was like pulling teeth to get any help before, but he's over there all the time doing stuff for us. So
And I think Kim can probably say the same at Public Health too.
yeah,
Where is he, Amanda? Where did he start?
65.
I think that we do need to make a substantial move up because Anthony's done an incredible job and I don't want to lose him.
Me neither. Ditto. And I don't know that you need to make that decision right now. Maybe you guys think about it and
No, we're here. Let's make the
Yeah.
decision.
if you want to, I felt like it needed to be brought up. And I'm sorry I didn't bring it up the other day. 'cause
You had
we
said
would've
something
had
to me
some-
before.
Yeah.
I forgot to, so I'll say something as well, so.
70,000 seems reasonable to me as a starting place from 65. What is our contract? What was the contract with the, out at Beach Street? How much did we pay? Do you remember?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What was the contract at Beach Street that we were paying? I saw it almost.
So we paid, LCBA owed us. So Peggy worked out a contract with them that it was $20,000 a year is what they were paying, or, what they were working off, basically. And that was, $20,000 each year for 5 years, so $100,000 total.
But then on top of that, we were also paying,
On top of that, we were paying Tough Guys for
That's-
that one.
That's what I'm asking.
That's about $800 a month.
Okay.
$875, yeah, it increased almost every year on that one.
Yeah.
And then snow removal, I believe we're still keeping Tough Guys for snow removal, but I know
Yeah.
that's an October issue. But
Yeah. So I'm guessing 875, June, July, August, September. That's, yeah. 1650, 32, 3,300.
I think that the amount of work and the quality of work that Anthony's been doing, in order to keep him, we're gonna have to go closer to 75,000. How about we take the medium? That works for me.
72.5.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
And I know there was a raise in his budget,
we'll just leave it.
just
we'll just put it at the 72.5.
Okay,
That's okay with you?
thank you for bringing that up.
And thank you, Anthony.
Yes.
For everything you've been
Yeah.
doing.
So I guess the question is, have we made everybody mad today? So.
Some people would say if we didn't, we weren't doing our job.
Right, I just want to be equitable in that, I guess. But, anything else, Kayla or Tracy, that we can't decide on Friday morning early and get done? Amanda, anything?
I don't think we have any.
Oh, I have one quick question. The insurance, health insurance, is that figured into this?
We increased
Dealio.
it, the health insurance. So we've already increased that amount quite a bit. So it's already.
Yeah, the
budgeted.
budget, okay.
We do have a health insurance management team meeting after this meeting. And we will talk about, I think, what the rates are gonna look like,
Okay,
and they may change, but we've got enough money budgeted in the budget to cover what we can cover, correct?
All right.
But we're assuming